everyone's talking about Redford and his work and everything he did, and I'm like, yeah, mate, like, we just lost a best friend, and I thought he was gonna live forever, and he literally died before. I don't want to talk about the tea, but he literally, that I'm feeling, but he died before Sundance moved to Colorado. Sundance is in Sundance, Utah. It's been there since I was born. He started the film festival the year I was born in 1981. The second I could get there with my first film, I was directing my first film at 22. I got it in the festival miraculously. Never thought it would get into Sundance because I thought Sundance was too good or too fancy, or I was such a punk rocker. I thought that I was so Glasgow. I was very street in Glasgow, and I thought like they didn't watch the films, you know. I didn't think that they watched it. I was cynical. I didn't think they watched any of the films that enter. And all of the programmers said, Mariana, we love your film. We all watched it. All the people working for us watched it. Good Dick was full of heart. And they liked it. It was very beautiful. It's a very beautiful film. It's very cinematic, obviously. It's very simple. There's a lot of silences in it, but it's about a woman who's been sexually abused, and it's funny as fuck, man. Like, sorry, it's funny. It's about how you get over sexual abuse because you can't. So how are you going to touch a lady or reach out to her if she doesn't want you to? You know, what's their rom-com? What's a rom-com for someone who's been sexually abused? That's why I made Good Dick. And it was before Me Too. I was 22, you know, it was before so much stuff happened about feminism and stuff. I was the only female director that year, and I don't shout about that because it was weird to be the only woman. Like, Sundance was so, everything was so male focused, and I didn't know because I was a baby, so I just went in, you know. And Clark Gregg, my teacher, who's also a director from Atlantic, who's like 45 at that time or something, Clark Gregg said to me, you're here with your first film? Like, no fucking way. Like, I fucking took my whole life to make my first film. Like, Redford made his first directing film. Like, he directed his first film when he was in his 40s. You know what I mean? Like, Redford took him that long to be able to make a fucking film. Never mind, like, you just start out of fucking nowhere. And I was like, sorry. See, you guys, don't want to be at. And then I also turned around and said to the Sundance Film Festival, you know, the thing you could do is put more female directors in there. And I wasn't talking about 100% of female directors to make up for lost time, because I used to joke about that, because then you could have the film festival for like another 20 years and just do female directors, and everyone would be like, what is this? What is this vag film? What is this female story structure? Because I feel like I believe in a female orgasm story structure that we still haven't seen enough of. We need to have films and art where it's just, there's no beginning, there's no end. You don't have one climax, you have multiple climaxes simultaneously, infinitely. Like, try and do that, guys. Like, every man out there should like try and make a film that is the female story structure, because it would be great. It would be so, it would be like beyond European, beyond Polish cinema. Like, Polish people have been doing this because, Polish men have been doing this because they have a lot of great mums. They've got babcias, they've got really good mothers who are very present. That's why there's like no serial killers in Poland. There's literally zero, like nobody kills anybody, because whoever's there who might be a serial killer, or who's a man who might turn the serial killer, his babcia's feeding him. His babcia's like, yo, I understand your pain. I get what's going on. Life is hard. Isn't life hard? Let's just have dinner and you can talk about it. And this is your whole family who love you, because everyone's fucking here. The Polish family's like, everybody's here. Everyone's eating. What's your problem? Like, bring it. The babcia's here. And when the old people live with you, the granddads too, they give you this wisdom. They make you chilled out. They make you realize, you know what I mean? They went through World War II. You don't have to sweat about your issues as an artist. You know, Poland fighting communism and corruption. And in the 80s, we supported a lot of anti-corruption, like a lot of pro-freedom in Poland. My mum and dad and everybody that raised me, they had a lot of Polish artists and theatre, like Cantor and stuff, coming to the Edinburgh Film Festival, or the Edinburgh Festival when we're talking about the Fringe. I went to the Edinburgh Film Festival and got an award from Sean Connery. But anyway, that was with Good Dick. But then, for directing. But then, and I was a child when he gave it to me. But also, the point about the whole Sundance thing and everybody making work is, if you have a great mum and a great dad, and you feel that in your life, you have that support system, even if it's people who raise you in your family, like uncles and just like a great uncle or like a really good aunt, you've got people who love you, who aren't confused about that. They just love you and they put a lot into you. That's what makes great artists. That's what makes like a warm heart. That's what I felt like when I got to Sundance. I felt the warmth of it. I felt the warmth of Redford, the warmth of Michelle Satter, the warmth of all these programmers like Trevor Groth, Charlie Riff, Kim Yutani. I mean, everyone who's there. There's thousands of people who work there and I know them all and they're so nice. And everyone who's now working there, we go and we get these Sundance jackets every time. As a director, I've been to Sundance more years than I haven't been. So people were like, unless you're having an operation, Mariana Palka's at Sundance. And I was like, correct. Like, unless I'm in the hospital having had some kind of like motor accident for no reason, I'll fucking be there. But with bells on. But I also go to support other filmmakers. Like, I just want to watch cinema there because it's so warm. And the Native American tribe, the Ute tribal nation that's there, they fucking welcome you as well. And they say, yo, they make you feel like your heart is already healed, that you don't have to heal your heart because you're already healed. And that feeling of filmmakers being together in a community, that's what Robert Redford and Michelle Satter gave us when they started the film festival the year I was born, 1981. And they did it for that feeling. That it's not about how are you making money? Where are you getting your money from? It doesn't matter what the fuck you're talking about financing. The thing you're talking about with other filmmakers is your art. Who are you now? Like, what is your second feature film? Because I've taken all my fucking films have gone there, like touch wood. I've taken all my films there. When we did, okay, so it was all very intense because after Good Dick, it was like this big thing where everybody just got shot out of a cannon. Everyone who did that film, we got shot out of a cannon. We were seen in the world. You know what I mean? Like, I could just come to the, like, I showed Peter Mullen the short, I showed Peter Mullen a cut of it when it was like 1:40, like 1 hour 40 minutes. And Mullen said, you know what, I mean, he said, Mariana, I love it, it's so good, but like, you know what I mean, this is not War and Peace, man, it's like a rom-com essentially, like it's a sweet-hearted film. He said, it's Pepe Le Pew, like you've made Pepe Le Pew. And I was like, it's Eros. He's a lover who doesn't go away, like he's always there, he's persistent, he's like following her around. Yes, he's in love with her, and it is that feeling of everlasting love that we've had since Greek mythology, that is the man who's always fucking there, or the woman who's always your lover, who's just always present no matter what, on your bad days and your good days, you know, when you just trip, they like catch you. Or they make a light of it, you know, they make light of something that you do, that when you're intense they make light of you. And I loved that feeling of putting that real thing of what like how men and women really work into a real film, and being able to say, yo, this is what it really is like in real life. And let's be this deep in cinema, because so much of the stuff that we were auditioning for, like everyone I knew was auditioning for this garbage, like crappy dialogue, horrible projects where it was like, you know, some fucking stupid dialogue that some man would say to some woman that isn't even a human being. Like no man would ever talk like that. And then the girl has like one line and she's standing there and she's supposed to like be in a push-up bra. And I mean, it doesn't even matter what she's saying because she's fucking nobody knows who writes this shit, but it was belittling us all. It was objectifying the men and it was objectifying the women. And I thought, no man that I know talks like that. So I'm going to write dialogue about the dudes who I know who are fucking amazing. Like there's so many men who are incredible, who were so just like women in Scotland, like people that raised me going, yeah, I just like women. I'm just a great dad. I really, you know, love their daughters, like help the world, puts shit out in the world as an artist that's very authentic. You know, when Mullen met me when I was 16, I was like, yo, I'm so excited about everything. And he was like, yes, channel it. You know, he was like, he kind of like decided to be my mentor. We met on the street and he like decided to be my mentor because I was like going to write him letters. I had written him a letter the day before I met him in my diary, just saying why I liked My Name is Joe. And I was going to America. I was going to study in New York in the September, and I just wanted him to know that was such a great performance, you know, and that he inspired me. But the day after I wrote that, I bumped into him on the street on Byers Road, and he said, Mariana, like, give me your information. And he literally spent the summer like telling me what to do, telling me not to be an asshole. It wasn't that hard. He was like, just don't be an asshole. Yeah, I still have this thing he gave me after we did Neds together. It says, this is after he literally put me in his film after. How long was that? I can't even see because my Glasgow window's fucking it up, the fucking reflection. I need a DP. I always need a DP. I'm like, get me Mina Singh back, get me Andre Lascaris back. Oh my god, like, you can't even fucking see it. Okay. It says, my beautiful, darling Mariana, the best thing that ever came out of the Byers Road. Lots of love. And I can't thank you enough for the performance, Peter. Like, he just is so sweet. But the other thing about him is, when we met, he was very adamant about, and everyone I knew who was doing films and stuff just wanted to, I was 16 or whatever, and I knew I wanted to be an actress, and everyone said, or theatre actress at that time, I said, I want to go to New York and devote my life to the theatre. And so many people in Glasgow were like, good. My mum was like, that's great, you know, like, go for it. And because my mum has been so calm all my life and very artistic herself, very creative, she used to take pictures of us with her Nikon camera, and that was her first child. It feels like she gave birth to that camera and then us. She had a Nikon from the 70s that was a 50 lens, and she never took the 50 lens off. She just was like, this is the fucking lens of my life. And I fucking make all my films with the 50 lens because I'm like homaging my mum. So when you look at Good Dick, you can see this feeling of French, like really French New Wave inspiration, but it's Polish cinema more than that. And it is men and women being together. Like, what happens if it's okay? Like, what happens if they end up, if it's alchemy, and instead of, this is all my films, instead of it being rough or bad and a bad ending for the lady, what if it's a good ending for the lady? Let's just see films like that. Instead of them going into oblivion like a Nan Golden photograph where it's just dark and it's heavy, why can't it be just sweet cinema and connection? And that's the thing that Redford said. He said there's heart in it. There's heart in these films, and they made me an Annenberg Fellow, man. Like, I can't believe that happened. I can't believe that any of this shit happened in my life at all, but the shit that happened, though, the thing where I knew I was on like Mars and not in Glasgow anymore was I was on like another planet, was when they made me an Annenberg Fellow. This was before we'd gotten into the festival, but it was before we premiered at the festival. So because we got into Sundance, suddenly we had to do, with Good Dick, suddenly had to do all this work, post-production, make it fast, make it nice, make the sound good, and like polish it in this way that it hadn't been polished. It was a rough cut that we sent in. So just so many things about that. It was such an intense process. I remember part of my cutting process was going to Poland and just being in Poland. Like, I thought about Redford when he just fucked off. He had 2 kids and he fucked off to Greece and Italy. And he just lived there for a year because he didn't know if he was going to be a movie star. Like, he'd done plays in New York. He didn't know if he wanted to do the movie star thing. Like, he'd been in 2 films as a movie star, as an actor, and he just didn't know if he liked it. So he went away with his children and just lived in Europe for like a year and a half or something. And then he decided maybe he would do it, but he didn't like it. And I love him for that. You know, he's like a real man. And these are the dudes that we really like the Ron Howards who are there, just like really good dads, really good husbands, always there. That's the part that no one's fucking talking about Redford. He's a fucking great man. He was such a good husband. He's such a nice dad. Like, can we talk about him as a dad and his amazing way with women, like where he sees and collaborates with women. The depth of that, like being able to be brave enough to actually handle a full-on wild woman, go for it, man. Like, go for it and like collaborate with her. It's the same thing with Judi Dench and fucking Michael, man. Like, I always think about Judi Dench and Michael. Judi Dench didn't just do her life. She did it because Michael was there encouraging her, talking to her. He knew the stuff she'd done. He knew her first Ophelia. You know what I mean? People knew that when she did Ophelia Judi Dench literally did Ophelia right out of her. She came right out of drama school in London and did Ophelia. And like the critics didn't like it. Somebody said it was crappy or something. But people knew that about her, but she kept going. But just so funny because that's just like the funniest thing about her is nobody's got like a clear road. And I think if you can be in the arms of a man who's an actor, who understands you, who knows all the plays, he knows all the Shakespeare plays, and he's hugging you because, I mean, he doesn't care what the critics say. He's hugging you because what you did today in a conversation made him so moved. And he's like, wow, I'm with this woman. Like, wow, I'm with her. And the feeling that you feel from a lot of Robert Redford's women in his life is like he wanted to be real every day. You know what I mean? Like, he wasn't trying to be the movie star. He hated that shit. He hated the way he looked. He didn't want to be taken for like a cheesy model man. He wanted to be serious. He wanted to be a serious actor from the beginning. And I felt like that too when I was like 22. I remember being such a punk rocker and saying, you know what, a Polish punk, not English punk. Polish punk before the wall came down was about everlasting love. It's about a heaven that we all live in. It's about touching and feeling, and it's sensual, and it's I love one woman forever and you love one guy forever, and you just have this intensity that is radical, deep affection and respect and joy. And living in that was something that the Poles were singing about. Polish punk was singing about that in the 80s because they didn't have freedom. They couldn't fucking go anywhere and they couldn't do anything. And what they were singing about was totally illegal. Like, they were going to get killed for singing about anything, never mind a great love. So actors there were also people I knew who their lives were in danger because if they spoke out about, if they made art at all, they were going to be killed. So that kind of high stakes thing that was my childhood, which was the 80s, I was in Scotland and we were helping people, like saving their lives by getting them kind of like we also had Solidarność pictures that my mum used to take pictures of my sister and I, and Solidarność t-shirts, and that just is the freedom sign in Poland, and it means democracy and freedom. And so when you're fighting for stuff like that, that's the perspective I feel like Robert Redford had. He had that jingoism growing up in the States when it was the wartime and everyone was going, you know what, America's amazing because we need to sort this out and get in line. Like, let's love America. And that's what his whole life came from. You know, he made the festival for this feeling of wanting to help. You know, Michelle Satter started it with him. They were like, yo, why don't we do this collaboration together and rock this place? Because I think 1980, the year before I was born, was like a crazy year for everyone in LA, because in California they felt like they're not making the films that we used to make. The studios aren't giving you money for those movies that were incredible in the 70s. Straight Time, all of the stuff you saw coming out of every director. You know, it was small cinema the studios were financing. And then in 1980, the studios decided to like become a big elephant that didn't want to give money to the artists and just decide things on its own that wasn't going to be small projects, and independent films started out of that as like a rebellion from that. So that was always happening. And Redford knew that if he started Sundance, and Michelle Satter knew that if she started the Sundance Institute with him, it would be a blessing and a godsend. And when I went after Good Dick, I went because I had this tit film there that was called Spoonful. Janae Lamarck made the first film about breastfeeding. We're talking about me acting in that film, and it was this thing where I loved playing these sisters with these ladies. Frankie Shaw was in it. Everyone called it at the festival that year the tit film, and I went to Native Party sorry CAA, but I went to the Native party instead of the CAA party, because sometimes the parties are on the same night, and I was like, the press were like, so you're going to the CAA parties? I was like, no, I'm going to the Native party, man. Like, Bird Running Water invited me to the Native party, I'm going to the Native party. Like, I would always go there no matter what, beyond any choice. Like, forget it. And it's like the best place to go, because that's where the Native American voices are, and it's a radical party where they're like unleashed, and they're like being seen by someone as an artist where you haven't been seen before, and being seen by another artist, like artist to artist, feels so radical. That's why I would go to that festival, because that party, because the whole of this Sundance, like the whole point of Sundance is to encourage Native Americans to have more of a voice in their own films and make their own thing. Like, make your own TV, make your own work. It doesn't have to be like anyone who's just not Native American making films about you, because that's nice too, but it wasn't really, I mean, maybe Michael Mann's movie was good. We could say that Last of the Mohicans was good, but it was accurate. But it doesn't mean Native Americans don't need to make their own films, because obviously that is part of the thing that happened, where like Native Americans started to make their own movies and women started to go into all the festivals as directors. Because I was like, yo, can you make it like 50%, between 30 and 50% female directors across the board at Sundance until the day I die? That's what I said to them. And they did it, like the year after they did it, and they've done it every year since, because women are making more films and better films than they ever have before. Not since like the silent era when every director was a woman, because I'm sure the guys were like, yo, we don't care about the cameras, like, you guys figure it out. We'll be over here like doing the deals or something. I don't know what the guys were doing back then, but literally not since like 120 years ago when films started, there was a female director boost and boon. And then now it's the same, where you're going, okay, we're getting more females in Directors Guild, we're getting more female directors. And I've signed up, I don't know how many bloody female directors, I've probably signed up an infinite number of female directors to the Directors Guild, and there still can be more. Like, if you know a female director, you know someone who's like an actress who's going to be a director. Like me, I turned into a female director overnight. Like, David Laveau looked at me when I met him, and he was like, this thing to all these other people in the room about what they were going to do in their careers. Like, he's sort of a savant or like a wizard or something. He is kind of a wizard. He's like a witch but a man, so he's a wizard, but like just channeling all this truth, and he could be clairvoyant and see the future. So he just pointed at me when I was like, I think I was 19 or 20, and he just went, director. And I was like, oh, okay, I see you. I was like, I do like to be in charge of everything. Very organized. I've got visuals. I've got so many visuals coming at me, like constantly. All the colors. I see all the fabrics. I see every move. I see every breath, and I feel every movie transition. I love sound. I love sound design. I love costume. I love production design. I love a Nancy Meyer's kitchen. Like, I salivate inside my lips. I'm like, oh my God, like, let me just be in the movies. Ever since I was a kid, I used to watch films because we didn't have a TV. My mom and dad were so artistic. They were artists. They didn't give a shit about TV, sorry, at that time. We watched just cinema. We watched Polish cinema. We watched Vida movies. We watched Kieślowski movies. We watched New Wave, French New Wave. We watched a lot of American cinema. The good films they would have us watch. They let us see Ken Loach films. They let us see stuff that was happening in the UK that was good. You know, Mike Leigh. We saw everything, basically, that was artistic. And then also felt this pull towards visuals. I felt like I was a visual storyteller. I felt like I was a director because I could see the justified camera movement, like Orson Welles, frames within frames within frames, and the power within a frame. What that means, different characters having more dominant feeling on the screen. But, you know, I had favorite actors. Just loved actors. I would go to the theatre all the time. We saw so many really good plays at the Edinburgh Fringe constantly. So much shit. Just like we were sitting there salivating as well. And I remember just thinking, that's what I want to do. When I would see these Polish theatre artists, the Edinburgh Festival, I'd be like, that's what I want to be. I want to be a radical freedom fighter that they were fighting for their lives. I wanted to do that. I wanted to make something that had a consequence or was changing the world, making the world a better place. And that's why I feel like Redford and I bonded, because he had that level of, and it stays in his work, that level still, you can watch it, it's oozing out of him when you watch anything he does, because he had that level of high stakes. He wasn't going to do anything unless it was a really good script. He wasn't going to do anything unless it was a really good actor he's working with or an actress he's working with. Like, he believed in collaboration. And this is the thing I want to make the point about, where I feel like this, when you're working with people who have that passion and they see you and they're warm and they're like helping you with your own light. This is why I fucking think about Betty White and motherfucking, her whole fucking life. Like, she just loved one man. I love their story. I mean, people don't know this about Betty White. People think Betty White was like on the Golden Girls, you know, like she was, but the reason she could do it is because of Alan Ludden. Alan Ludden, who's like literally a game show host, guys. Like, people don't know this. Alan Ludden, game show host. They used to do this TV show called Password, and it was about her being so smart. Like, she was the first lady on TV because she was such a legend back then. Not to mention Robert Redford back in the day, because Redford played insane roles. He was a character actor. He played like murderers, he played villains, and then when he'd done a lot of TV like that, and then when he started to do movies, they wanted to be like, oh, you can't do that because you're too handsome. So I felt like that in my early years. I felt like I'm only wearing pajamas right now because I used to wear pajamas on the red carpet and no makeup. I never wear makeup anyway usually, but I'm like, yo, hello, I'm not even gonna moisturize because like, I don't care. Like, I'm a fucking artist, do you know what I mean? Like, this is what I used to say in the beginning of my work when people try to get me to put a dress on. I was like, I'm a serious artist. I don't give a shit about like what I'm dressed as or how I'm going to be adorned. Like, unless I'm playing a queen, unless I'm playing Queen Elizabeth, like, you can adorn me then. Or I'm playing a person who loves clothes, then I'll fucking wear a dress. But I don't care about that shit in my real life because I'm here to talk about my film. The shit I just wrote, you know what I mean? Like, I wrote Bitch in Lake Tahoe over a weekend. In 2 days I wrote Bitch because Bryce Howard told me, I told her the story of the woman becoming a dog. There was a R.D. Laing thing that I heard about where it was a woman in his life. R.D. Laing was a psychiatrist, a Scottish psychiatrist, Glaswegian. He said, this lady's become a dog. She doesn't know if she's a dog. She knows she's a dog, or she doesn't know she's a dog, but she's acting like a dog. She had empty nest syndrome after her children left. So he understood, R.D. Laing understood. He was kind of like John Cassavetes. He's like, don't call her crazy. He understood that you have to talk to mentally ill people, ask them what their story is. It's very interesting if you get them talking. They're going to say something that's not how they would be if you judged them and put them in a box and just kind of like throw them aside and think they're just crazy. And like, you can't even play a role like that if you think they're just crazy. I mean, you could say every character ever written is just crazy. But they're not. Like, let's just take that off, take that judgment off. And I think that the feeling when I had Bryce Howard say that to me, she was like, Mariana, this is insane that you wrote the script in 2 days. And then I was like, Bryce, I wrote Rad Dads in 4 hours, which is also true. I wrote not a conservationist comedy. That's Tallulah's movie I did called Scottish Muscle. Tallulah, I didn't write that script either, but Tallulah is a wee genius. Such a genius, sweet director. But anyway, it was so nice to work there. And I like Scottish Muscle. I like putting all the Neds in Scottish Muscle and getting them paid again. Being like, Elon Musk, hi, come to Scotland. You wanna, yeah, this is Scotland, hi. Yeah, this is it. Do you like it? It's green. Yeah. Glasgow's pretty green, man. Yeah. I used to say Glasgow it's fucking true, but Glasgow means great green place because it's so fucking green. Like, when you come here, it's the greenest place. You throw a stick, it's green. You know what I mean? You look outside the window, it's so lush and green and wet, and it's as humid and wet as the rainforest, which I've been to in Manaus. I've been to that part of the world where it's just hot and wet, and Scotland is cold and wet, and I love the water. I love the moisture in the air. I love all that shit. Anyway, I love being Scottish. I love the Scottish water. We've got better water coming out of our taps than, you know what I mean, anyone can ever make in the world. Anyway, I was talking about bitch because I wanted to have that idea of that woman in Scotland who became a dog, but I put it in America and made the whole family American. I wanted the guy to have cheated on her, not letting her go to an art camp. Like, she's had these 4 children and she just says to her husband, yo, I want to go to an art camp. And he's like, no, you can't do that. Are you joking? It's ridiculous. You have to look after the children. And the kind of deal is she looks after the kids and he makes the money, but he's cheating on her, so she becomes the dog. And the children that I hired for this film totally understood it. They read the script and they were so inspiring. They were all like crying. They were all like, this is so, of course you would do that. Like, if that happened to you and you get betrayed, you're gonna react. This is the thing where you want to make the space. It's the thing about Redford. You want to make the space. And Betty White, you want to make the space in your life. You know what I mean? Like, Betty White said Alan Ludden was the love of her life. It took her like 2 years to accept that he had a ring around his neck that was their wedding ring. And it used to get covered in suntan lotion because they were always going to the beach. And he had like these many dogs. She said she only got with him because he had like 4 poodles. And I was like, mate, are you fucking 4 poodles? Yes. Like, yeah, come on in. Yeah, where's your dog? Okay, that's great. Brilliant. We love dogs. So cute. So cute. She's an animal lover. Like, this is a space that humans have. She's not just an actress. She's not just like well-known. She's not just funny on TV. And she's not just really clever on Password, where they met and they started their real dynamicism. They always cared about each other more than anyone else. And that feeling, that vibrancy, I think is very compelling. So when you put everything in and you get kind of like, if you put one thing in and you get an infinity back, you feel infinity. That is the feeling that I'm talking about with Robert Redford, or in his personal life with his, like, as a husband, or Judi Dench as a wife, as a mum. She's such a great mum, such a great granny. Like, I mean, like, she's not just doing the fucking Shakespeare plays, and she's not just doing the shit in the action movies. Like, she is a woman on this planet. And this is the thing that is so moving to me, where you make space for each other as artists, and you can't necessarily do it on set. You have to do it in your life. You have to do it as an example. You have to be an example to the whole fucking community, which is why Redford is who he was, and why when I went to the States and lived in LA, like, I could see these relationships that were filled with collaboration. Michael Mann's wife, Summer, is the reason why I feel like they made fucking Last of the Mohicans. Like, she fucking told him about the book. She's like, mate, this is a fucking great film. Like, you know what I mean? Like, make it. Make this film. It's a book. You should do it. But Michael Mann put all, like, he's got 4 daughters. They're all incredible. They all are artists in their own right and do different things. They're all like different departments. I'm jealous that he could have like a production designer, a costume designer. He could have like an artist, like these people who he's literally, or he's their dad, but they also are like a crew. Like they birthed a crew. Summer birthed a crew for him. And I'm like, I wish I had that. Like, I need like somebody to just like give birth to like fucking, you know what I mean, people who are in 20 years going to do my movies and make them better because they're my children. Like, come on, I need that to happen. Anyway, I was just thinking about that because it's so funny, but I also think about it from the perspective of bitch being something Elijah Wood did. Elijah Wood, I just was, again, at fucking Sundance. Like, this is crazy, but like, literally, this is true. I'm like going to Sundance to help someone do something. I can't remember. But I got off the plane at the fucking airport and Elijah Wood is, hey, Mariana, like, do you want to get in my car? Because I've got a car to park. You know, when you land in Salt Lake, you have to have like a 45-minute drive to the festival. And I was like, yeah. Like, I'll sit in your car. That's great. And then I'm talking to him and we're talking about music. And then we were like, we should work together. We knew each other from before, from Sundance again or something. I can't remember where it actually met him, but maybe it was Los Angeles, can't remember. But anyway, I was like, yo, I've got this script I wrote called Bitch. And I had just seen Girl Walks Home Alone at Night. Like, he made this Iranian vampire film as a producer. He loves, like, getting financing for female directors. That's his MO. But he loves thrillers. And I was like, yo, this is my only thriller I'll ever do in my whole fucking career. Bitch is the only thing that's a thriller. And it's my, like, homage to thrillers. And being like, guys, I know you guys made thrillers about this shit. This chick's a bitch. Like, she is a dog. She's a dog. It's not a swear word. She's a dog. She becomes a dog because it's the patriarchy. And her husband cheated on her. Come on, man. Like, and then he had this, like, array of... He's a very kind of, like... I don't know what you would call him. Like, a militant feminist. He's like, well-raised, whatever. He's, like, a genius, but also very good. They're very ethical. As a producer, he's, like, ethical in what he chooses to do. So I was like, yo, bitch is this thing. This is what I wrote. And it's... Because I watched the Iranian vampire film, A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night, which they shot Los Angeles for Iran. Like, if you watch that film, they shot it in Los Angeles, okay? Come on. It looks like Iran. Everything is Iran. You're like, this is Iran. This is Iran. Like, where the fuck are we? We're in Iran. So I was shaken by the fact that they, as producers, helped this director so much and respected her so much. I was like, yo. Like, I'm going to do it too. And they were going to raise money, like, in a large amount. He was going to raise, like, money for, like, multiple films at once. And I was like, that's great. And when we asked Mar Vista which film they wanted to do first, they said Bitch. Like, they wanted to do the Mariana one. And I was like, yes. And also Daniel Noah, Josh Waller. These are, like, ultimate feminist men who gave me the best notes as well. Like, Daniel Noah gave me the best notes on that script because we would have these sessions. I think I was living in Paradise Cove. I was, like, house sitting in Paradise Cove. So it wasn't my house, but I was basically on the beach. And Daniel Noah would be like, yo, maybe instead of this, we could do this, sir. He said, instead of it being a blowjob at the beginning, it makes more sense if he's going down on her to cheat on his wife. It makes more sense. And I was like, this is such a class note. Like, I can't even, like, explain how class that note is and correct. Like, he maybe gave me some notes. I was like, that's not what we're talking about. That's not our film. Because Elijah was like, yo, what if she at the end says, fuck you, and everything's fucked off, and she just fucking walks away in the, like, on the street, you know what I mean? And it's like the cowgirl going into the sunset by herself. And it's just a film about her, and it's like her journey. And I was like, it could be that, but also this is a film about marriage and a film about family and fucking sticking it out and just fucking being there, even if she's a dog or whatever the fuck. It's about that. It's about accepting that. And I want to make that film. I want to make the collaboration that I saw between my mom and dad when I was growing up, where, like, they were each other's hype people. My dad said to my mom, you're so amazing, you're so beautiful, I can't believe I fell in love with you. Like, my dad was trying to fall in love with Francois Hardy. He was, like, trying to find her. She's a French pop star from, like, a long time. Well, she's still around, but my dad said that was the love of his life. So he was, like, planning. He had all her LPs. My dad was planning to marry her and had been holding his whole life up for that woman, even though he was, like, in Glasgow and he was, like, in his late 20s and he hadn't been with anyone. So when he met my mum, she was 18, 19, Polish. She was doing this with the rim of her glass at the Polish club in Glasgow, which is literally still there. That club has never changed. It's been the same for, like, the last century. The Polish club in Glasgow is, like, really nice. It's all wood. It feels like Poland. It's very beautiful. But that's where my mum and dad met in the 70s. And he was like, forget Francois Hardy, this woman's incredible. He used to say to me, I can't believe I'm with your mum. She's the most beautiful woman in the whole world. She's so intelligent. I can't believe she's with me. And then my mum would be like, I can't believe I'm with your dad. He's so incredible. I can't believe he's with me. He's so gorgeous and, like, so stunning. And we have such a good time together. And they would, like, just make out and stuff. We'd be, like, on holiday trying to go to dinner and they'd be making out in an alleyway and he'd be taking her picture. And I'd be like, oh my God. My sister Nina and I said, we're so hungry, guys. Like, can you stop making out? Like, please stop looking at each other. Like, we used to be like, please stop looking at each other. We're hungry. We have to go for dinner. We're starving. Like, we have to go to this restaurant. We have to walk far away. Like, we're on an island. Can we walk to the place? Can we walk? And they were like, yeah. And this was, like, a constant. They would take us on these fancy holidays, but we'd end up staying somewhere not fancy, like these fancy locations, or we would stay somewhere really fancy. But whatever it was, they were obsessed with each other. And I can't speak highly enough about that. The difference between that and some other households where like kids are being raised in these environments where it's like, shut up, why are you doing that? Or it's like this aggression where you go, oh my God, like literally, what if we didn't do that? What if we just raised the kids with those sweet voices? That's what you hear a lot in Poland and with Polish directors and a lot of Glasgow directors. Jesus fucking Christ, like Pierre Mullen sounds when he's directing and he's talking, if you're talking to him in real life, he sounds like a granny. Like he sounds so loving. Just like, excuse me, like he just was well raised. Like he has this like soft voice, but in all the films where he plays like a gangster, it's different. But in real life, his voice is so encouraging that you could go a mile after he just says that was great. And you're like, fucking hell, man. That's so nice. Somebody as well said to me, I was thinking about the bitch thing as well. Someone said, we just like women. There's a lot of men who were raised and they just like women. It's very simple. Dookie said that. Dookie from Shetland told me that when I was at Sebi having like a lunch with him. He was like, women are just something that we like naturally in this part of the world that we respect. It's just part of who we are. And it's fucking true. Like, that's what I was realizing. Like, that's how I was raised. I wasn't told I had to be a certain way, or like nobody ever talked about my appearance. I wasn't like, in Glasgow, and you're like an artist here, no one's talking about, anything like that. They don't want to do anything like, I don't know, it's like how in Berlin, right? Like I went to the Berlin Film Festival and everyone was just dancing. You know what I mean? You're just dancing. They're just free. Nobody's trying to like get with anybody. You're not like, oh my God, there's a creepy guy. Like, oh fuck, it just is, or some creepy lady. Like, no, you just get to be free. And in Glasgow, you just get to make art. Like people are in probably all of Scotland as well. You get to make art and feel this feeling where you're not being objectified. That's what I felt when I went to California. Like all my artists, every mate I knew, every guy I knew, every woman I knew, and me, we were all being objectified, going into these rooms, dehumanized. Like what the fuck was an audition in the early fucking 2000s in California? It was horrifying. It was like getting like shot in the face or something. Like you're like, this is bad. This feels bad. Like they didn't even look up. They had shit dialogue. They had these horrible writers. They didn't even look up from their tables to talk to you. And at least in London, if you go for an audition, the casting director sits down and chats to you. How's your mum, Rihanna? How you doing? And they don't have this like dehumanization going on where you just feel like inhuman. And I love that we turned that on its head. That's what I liked about Bitch and all these other films that I've done where I go, no, I went to Sundance with this because it's turning that shit on its head. We're not objectifying anyone. All the actors I did this for, I put them in. I asked them if they wanted to be in the film. I said, I wrote this part for you. Do you want to be in it? And they got to not fucking audition. I hated that. As an actor, I didn't want to fucking audition anyone. So I was like, bye-bye auditions. Let me just fucking hire people. I said to Anna Camp, I text her, you want to just be in Egg? Because I would love to direct you. And she was like, man, I've been wanting to work with you. And I was like, great, let's like have a girls' summer in New York and we'll just be artistic. And it was Christina Hendricks and it was this incredible script. I read that script, page 4 into that script of Egg. It had been a play before. Rita, the writer, is incredible. And I said to my rep, yo, page 4 in, I want to do this. Like, tell them yes, because I don't want them to give it to anyone else because it was such a good script. And I could see it. I could see Zelmira and I, my DP, I said, yo, we can have this movie shot. Suddenly, we had the two actresses. Two actresses have never had a shot in film that is as long as the movie shot. We shot, Christina Hendricks and Alicia Reiner, who also produced it, were fucking incredible. And we could have the movie just follow them around. Justify camera movement. But in this art gallery that is the art that they've made, and one of them's had a baby, one of them has another baby, and you just go, oh my God, like female friendship. And also they love each other, but also it's very deep. And it's about just everything. If you watch that film, you go, ooh, ouchie, like ouch, ouch, ouch. But also it's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And God, my fucking amazing production designer, Sally Levi, put in everything was female artists. We were like, everything is a female artist. So when you walked on the set, we had a female sound lady. Everyone was like so professional. And I also did the thing that Mullen fucking paid me back so much on an energy level. So Robert Redford, Ron Howard, Bryce Howard, like when Bryce Howard put me in all her films, I also felt like, holy fucking shit. Like, that was the first film I ever did was Orchids as an actress, not a theatre actress. I did, not a play. I was in Bryce's movie. And it was like Catherine Waterston and me, Seth Gable, Alfred Molina. We did this film where it felt like, oh my God, like I can be in films. That's what Bryce gave to me, the gift. And then I was like, Bryce, you have to be in Good Dick because you're pregnant. I know you're pregnant, but you and Seth have to be this happy couple in this thing where nobody's happy and like everyone wishes they could be a happy couple. And she was like, okay. Like, it just was this thing where every time when she did When You Find Me, she got me to be the mum in that film. And I was like, yes, they wrote about us in American Cinematographer magazine. I was like, yeah. She used all the Good Dick crew as well, like Andre Lascaris, my DP from Good Dick, who's Greek and went to AFI, and Tatia, his wife, who's from Georgia the country. Genius, put me in First Kiss, the first and only viral thing that ever was artistic on YouTube. We made all together, and I was like, I don't want to kiss a boy in this. Like, I have to kiss a girl because I just believe in my lesbian pals. I'm not a lesbian, but I believe in, like, we need more lesbians and shit. So can we just, like, have me kiss a girl? And Tatia was like, yes. And also, like, I couldn't, like, act. Like, I could act and have a boy kiss me in a film. That's fine. I don't care about that shit. I'm not, like, trying to be that insane, but I'm not that much of a nun. But I felt like if I'm going to do it, and it's, you know, it was, like, not a movie. It wasn't a play. It was a advert / documentary. It was real. So I was like, yo, I can't, like, just fucking kiss someone who's, like, a stranger. I don't know, like, it was very, like, clear to me that I had to do the thing, and we got Soko to come and kiss me, which, by the way, if you're going to kiss a lesbian, it's going to go viral. So I was like, and I had my wee kilt, that's my same Scottish fucking kilt in that. I had the same fucking Scottish kilt that got me the job in Girls, because I got to go to Jeremy Connor's wedding, and I was wearing, like, a little kilt, my Scottish kilt from M&S that my Polish babcia got me from, like, Argyle Street when I was, like, 14. That I still wear. But that kilt got me so many jobs. Anyway, so I was kissing Soko and it went viral, and Ellen on TV was talking about First Kiss the video, and it was like millions of people were watching it anyway, and then even more millions watched it. And that was Andre and Tatia, who made Good Dick with me. Like, from the beginning, they were AFI. Like, we were all the same people, like Brett Marling and all of those peeps were all like, we all like raised each other up in LA. And like, if one of them was a pessimist, one of their pals was a pessimist, and I remember being like, yo, just be an optimist. It'll be much better for you as an artist. It'll be much better for you. And then, like, that person ended up making every TV show you've ever seen now and every film you've ever seen. That was, like, incredible. And we would always have that connection where I remember being like, yo, I know I lit that fire of just fucking say it's okay instead of it's not okay, because it's easier to work with you if you do that. I love that feeling of just vibrancy. And also, we had all this stuff. I had Lion's Mouth Opens go to Sundance as well, where it was this thing where I had to get tested for this genetic disease. So I called Lucy Walker the most incredible documentary filmmaker on the fucking planet. Like, she had, I think, won so many. I think she, like, won Oscars, and we got shortlisted for an Oscar, and I had to do the Oscar run. But before that happened with our film, she didn't even want to work with me. Like, I called her and I was like, hi, I'm going to tell you the story about me. And when I say it, you're going to want to do a documentary about me. And I've never done a documentary, and I know that because you're a genius filmmaker. And I knew her from Sundance because she'd been at Sundance with all of her films. I had seen Wasteland. I had seen, you know what I mean? Like, you see documentaries because Redford's like, fucking watch all the docs as well, man. Like, he tells you have to watch everything. Go to everything. Don't just, like, think you should go to one genre or one category, because my films are always in dramatic competition. So I said to Lucy on the phone from Los Angeles, do you want to do this? Because if you do this, if, like, this is a part of my life I'm dealing with, and if you hear it, you're going to want to do it with me. And she was like, right, I'll come to your house tomorrow and we'll start filming. And I was like, oh my God, because she said she had no time, and then she's like, actually, we have to. She told her producer Julian, that's it, like, we're doing this. And it was called Lion's Mouth Opens because when I was 15 and I was living in Maryhill, Glasgow, like, I was a posh girl. I went to posh school. I was very posh. I lived in Thornton Hall. I was raised like very, very posh where the footballers live. Well, they live there now, but they didn't live there when I was there because we made it cool. I mean, it was already like very fancy, but Laurel Bank was my school, so everyone was like this entrepreneurial vibe, but we were all girls. And so it felt really normal for me to work with women all the time and hire majority ladies. Because, I don't know, I always have just been used to that. And my mom also is just made that fucking normal from the beginning. And I felt like with Lucy Walker, oh God, so what happened is like this horrible disease was part of my family and no one ever talked about it in the way that my mom would talk about it, where it was just really direct. My mom would say all this stuff that was really brave and she would be open. My mom would just be open. And she was able to say these things that no one else said. So I was like, let's put that shit in the documentary. And also, there's all these taboos around it. People said, don't get tested for this because if you do, you'll lose your lawyers, you'll lose your CAA reps, you'll lose, like, no one will want to be with you. Like, somebody said, you won't be insurable. And I was like, as a what? Like, as a director, I'm going to be insurable. But it was very kind of dun, dun, dun. Like, it was very beyond high stakes at that part of my life because it felt like you get tested for this thing and you go through one door and everything's fine, or you go through the other door and everything's not fine. So it felt, there's ways people kind of die before they die or whatever, and I felt like that a little bit. Like, it was very intense. But one of the things I did was I had this Bob Dylan cassette tape because I'm like from generations ago. I just tell my niece about a cassette tape. She's like, wait, what was it again? And I'm like, oh my God, I'll show you one. And she's like, what is this? Like, she only saw CDs because I used to make Tara mix CDs her whole life. So she's like, cassettes? What? Cassette? Get a young person who's like 20 to say the word cassette. It's funny because they don't know what it is. Cassette. I had a cassette tape of Bob Dylan, and it was this poem that he wrote for the funeral of Woody Guthrie. They asked him to write 5 pages and he wrote 25 pages about Woody Guthrie. And it starts like, when your head gets twisted and your mind grows numb. I listened to that recording and memorized it and then just had it in me because I was like, this is about Huntington's disease. It's about being a friend. It's about family. It's about art taking over the disease and going, fuck you. Like, actually fuck you. And fuck any person who's going to say anything. Judging or being difficult about that situation where you really want to have space for it and go, right, let's just not judge the situation. That's how I felt when I saw the Kevin Pierce film. I saw the Kevin Pierce film with Lucy Walker, a screening of it at CAA. And I thought, my God, I'm in the best hands. Like, if she can do that for Kevin Pierce, she can do something else for me, which is the same kind of thing where you share your pain and it helps other people, helps you process and everything like that. And it was just really kind of like iconic to work with her. I got to meet Quincy Jones and he got to tell me, I said, and I was going to talk to him and about him as what did I love him as? Like a conductor. Like, I thought that was the most beautiful part of his career, that he just spent his fucking life doing that. And I was like, mate, like, I want to talk to him about that. But he just wanted to talk to me about how I looked like one of his wives. And I was like, yeah, man, I know. I know which one you're talking about. And he was like, yeah, because it's literally like the Polish one. And it's like, God's sake. She was beautiful. And he also just loved her so much. Like, he was such a lover, but such a good dad, and also really good at his job. But he said to me, Mariana, don't get confused. Play for your crowd. Don't play for the people that don't like you or your enemies. He spent a lot of time playing music for the KKK so they would love him, or like he could turn them around or change their politics or accept him or make the KKK, or what that is, like racism, make lynchings never have happened. If he's making this beautiful music, maybe we can like translate it into this place where lynchings never happen again. And no one ever says that anything terrible about it, or anything like mean about it. But he, instead of playing to his enemies, he decided at a certain point in his life to just play to to people who already love him. Like, just play to your mom. You know what I mean? Like, just play to your dad just play to your crowd that's already your crowd. And I just took that and fucking ran with it. And I was like, correct, that's what I've always been doing. But also now I'm going to like take that to the max and make it more stunning or more, I don't know, like adhere to more vibrancy. So what happened with the short film that we got shortlisted for an Oscar with, Lion's Mouth Opens, which was a documentary that was a documentary short, first documentary I've ever even touched with or been in it with a 10-foot pole. And I said, yo, Lucy, when I knew we were going to get into Sundance if she entered it. And I was like, I don't want to go to Sundance with this. I don't want to go to thinking like it's going to ruin my directing career. It's going to ruin my acting career. Like I'm on a roll. Like I had just done Girls TV show. Like I just like put my hips in Adam Driver's like body. Do you know what I mean? Like I was pumped about being Jess's sister in season 5. Like, come on. And Lena Dunham had known me from when I met Jenny Connor at Jeremy Connor's wedding. I was literally wearing a macrame bathing suit that I thought was like killer with my little Scottish kilt. Again, that Babs got me. And when I was doing it, Lena said, just come to New York and do Girls. And I was actually in Greece with my family, and my whole family were like, yeah, go and do Girls. And Dallas Smith was like, yes, go and do Girls. And I was like, okay. So Dallas organized, my agent in London is a fucking genius. He organized for me to be able to be flown to New York and flown back to Greece. What a fucking legend. Anyway, he's such a nice guy. What a like actually artistic agent I've had. Like he's so artistic. Anyway, like what a nice dude. When I was doing Girls and I felt like all this stuff was like working, so I didn't want to put this film out there about my medical history or something and being like, wait, So I started to get the heebie-jeebies. The first time I got scared in my whole life, and I was bricking it, and I was saying on the phone, and Lucy's on the phone. She's like, hi, I'm talking to you from a mountain in Peru because Julian and I are making a documentary. I was like, yeah, I know, mate. Like, I know where you are, but like, and she's like, I don't have connection, but I'm standing in this fun place. And I was like, I know what we're saying. I know you're saying because I was like, let's not enter into Sundance because we'll get in. Like, they love you, they love me. I'm like the Sundance darling of narrative film, and you're their fucking darling of documentaries. So it's like, if we put the film in, they're gonna say go to Sundance. Like, there's no way it's not going in. And Lucy was like standing on this mountain saying, Mariana, you know, I'll give you 24 hours to decide. Like, you decide, because she let me also produce it and have say in whatever the fuck, because obviously she's a fucking genius and she knows how to work with people in a respectful way that's not, I'm just making fun about you and like I'm a genius and I don't care about you. She was like, no, like this is a collaboration. And she was like so good at that. So respectful. So she gave me 24 hours and I called my mom in Scotland. I was in like Brentwood in some flat. I don't know where I was living, like I don't know, it was like not a nice place to live, but like champagne problems, like actually having a shitty place in Brentwood. But I was like, I don't want the world to see this. Like suddenly I call my mom, and my mom has been so all loving, and she was in the bath in Glasgow, of course. My mom, if you throw a stone, my mom will be in a bath somewhere. She's usually at her house every night having a bath. But I said to my mom, so yeah, Lion's Mouth Opens Lucy just called me, Lion's Mouth Opens got into Sundance, which I knew was going to happen. And now I don't want to go. I don't want it to happen. There's no part of me that wants to do this. So I'm going to phone her back and tell her no. And like, no, it's not going to come out and I don't want anyone to see it and da-da-da-da. And my mom was just silent and she was like, okay. And I was like, what is it? And she was like, no, I mean, she just thought to herself and she said, well, because she's such a fucking artist, right? So she said, well, I just wonder you tell me who's going to do this and put this stuff out there about Huntington's disease that's not the taboo, that's like really that is understanding the disease. Who's going to put that out there if it's not you? Who else will do that? Like at this time, with like in this form, as well made, as artistic, like you tell me who's gonna do that. If there's another person on the planet who's gonna do that, and then I'll let you go and say, okay, that's fine, because other people are doing that. But she was like, no one is fucking doing that, Mariana. No one else is doing what you and Lucy are doing right now. So maybe you should go to fucking Sundance, your home that everyone loves you already. Like Trevor Groth was like, and John Cooper, they said, Mariana, the programmers, they were like, Mariana, we just want you to, they were like, we could open the festival with this. And I was like, don't open the festival. Don't open the festival with it. Like, It's not a fucking festival opener. Like, it's a place where lawyers go to die. Like, they go to faint. Or, like, do you know what I mean? Like, it'll make a grown man faint, that film. Honestly, like, it'll make The Rock faint. It'll make Chavo Guerrero, like, my glow sensei, who helped me with glow and, like, helped us do all our own stunts for wrestling. It'll make him faint. You know what I mean? Like, he could be... Chavo would be watching that film going... He'd have to have his wife pick him up and, like, take him home, and Chavo would need a couple days to get over it. Like, there were so many reactions like that where, like, people who knew me were just, like, sick. They went to toilet and puked because I was like, sorry, we made it so tense. Yeah, sorry. But it's just true. Like, it's just, documentaries are just truthful. So you're making something that is, like, a narrative. Yes, it's a narrative. Robert Redford always said documentaries are a narrative. It's true. But they're also truthful. It's like being a journalist and an artist mixed in. So you're going, okay, so you obviously have to be very respectful. So yeah, I told Lucy, okay, let's just fucking go to Sundance, whatever. So then I went to Sundance that year, and that was very different than all the other years. And I met a lot of documentary filmmakers. We were talking about Oscar runs. Everyone was very excited about... Oh, HBO bought it as well. So, like, everyone bought everything. So we were like, okay, this is good. People had this chance to see it. And I got to recite Lion's Mouth Opens is one of the lines from the Bob Dylan poem. And I can recite that. I used to recite it as a party piece in Glasgow when it was Halloween. I'd be like, I'm going to do this poem. Or no, I would do, like, other shit. What the fuck would I do when I was a child? I used to do, like, Polish... I don't know, I would do, like, crazy Polish quotes from Polish films or something. I just did a lot of, like, I did Shakespeare monologues is what I really did. With, like, my wee Polish accent, I would, like, stand there and be like, this too tall for life girl. Like, people were like, how old is she? And people were like, no, she's too tall for her age. Like, she's actually much younger than she looks because she's so tall. And then I was taller than, like, everyone in my class, and just stupid stuff like that where you go, oh my God, like, can I even do Shakespeare if I'm tall? He didn't really write about tall women. And so the other thing was, yeah, people were really complimentary about the film, and I said thank you like 1,000 times to Lucy and Julia and everyone who made it, because I, felt like we had something special with that one. And then the next time I went to Sundance was with Bitch, because I said to Jamie King, I'm doing Glow season 2 or whatever, and I do like a movie a year and a TV show a year. The way I got Glow is like a video in itself, so I'll do one of those, because I know there's a lot of Glow girls out there who are like, and Glow guys out there who are needing that story, because that's an epic story too, where Tara, just my niece, would run my lines with me over and over and over and over again, and I just made her do it like 1,000 times with me, and I feel like Tara's the reason why I got the job. But yeah, I was doing Glow for Netflix, and I had been doing that. It was season 2 for Glow. And the wrestling community had already said Glow was good, and I'd already headlocked Ted Sarandos on the red carpet. It was like my live stream to do that. Like, I want that picture to be a poster for something, because it's just so cool. Like, me and all the Glow girls are like simultaneously in a circle. I have his neck and everyone is around me. All the girls are like, being like, this is our boss. He owns Netflix, but we can also... can also wrestle him. He was like, put me in a headlock. He was so nice. He was like, you girls are amazing. You girls are cool. You girls are rocking it. Put me in a headlock for the cameras. And I was like, mate, like, I am thinking about Shauna Duggins and Chavo Guerrero. Like, they would be like, be safe. I need to keep you safe. So just bend your knees. And like, I said to him, bend your knees. You can't do this we're not doing this unless you bend your knees. And I was like, so bossy. And he was like, yeah. So he bent his knees, and then I felt like he was being safe. Otherwise, it would have been a fucking shambles, and everyone would have like crushed him, and he would have been not going to work the next day. You know what I mean? Like, he would have been like, oh my God. So all of the Sundance thing was always very compelling. I met so many friends at Sundance. I did so many panels with so many incredible fellow directors. I was on a comedy panel with Taika Waititi, and it was really cool. I felt really connected. Just so many times you go to the shows of other people's work and you can see, oh my God, this Polish film called Wszystko Co Kocham, All That I Love, about 80s Poland, a rock band, like a punk rock band in 80s Poland, and you just go, oh, like there's so many waves in that film, and it's very beautiful. It's very, very, very Polish, and like it's honoring all the babcias. So I loved that film so much. I was a judge. I gave an award. I was a judge like before, a long time before. I think I was a judge in like 2009 or something. For the because I got an Annenberg Fellowship. As well, like in Los Angeles, that I went to Michelle Sader's office between the time of making Good Dick and going to the festival, that time where I was very busy, and I had in my schedule, go to the Sundance offices in LA, and I didn't even know they had offices in Los Angeles. Do you know what I mean? Like I had been driving past their offices my whole fucking life being like, oh, this is Sundance office? Okay. So I remember the dress I was wearing, it was like pale blue. It was like a pastel blue, the color of Good Dick a wee bit. Pastel blue, pastel pink. That was that film. Like their inner children come to play. And I just said, hi, I'm here to see Michelle Sader. Like I have a meeting with her. And she sits me down in her office, and everything is so fucking artistic. Like it is Robert Redford's feeling of like warmth. And there was a dude who had sand in these little bottles, like a little bottle like this, even though that's a nail polish. Ooh, coat. This is my favorite place in Los Angeles for it's organic. Come on, it's organic. Sorry, but anyway, it was these bits of sand from every part of the world, and I was like, "You don't have sand from a beach in Glasgow? I'll give it to you, and I'll send it to you in the post." He was one of the people working for Sundance, and I was like, "Yeah." There was no person in that office that didn't have like a fucking creative visual fucking theme going on in there. Even if they had a small office, they were like rocking it because they're all visual artists. Like, Jesus Christ. So it was very like, oh, walking in there, you feel like, this is my people. These are my folk. And they had a little area where you could sit and wait. And then Michelle came and was like, Mariana, this is everybody. And she introduced me. And then she was like, come to my office. And she sits me down one-on-one. And I was like, yeah, my producers, like Cora and Jen, are coming in like 20 minutes. They're in traffic. Because I was always on fucking time all the time. I've never missed anything. I've never missed a meeting. I've never been late for anything in my life because I went to the Atlantic Theatre Company. And the one thing they fucking say in Atlantic is you better be on time. You better be 15 minutes early. And if you think there's going to be traffic, you better fucking account for that. And you show up on time to everything. Show up 15 minutes early. Otherwise, in Atlantic, they called it a 15-minute rule. They would fucking, if you were late 3 times, they would lock you out of the class forever. And you couldn't go back to that class. So I was like, oh my God, like I better be on time. And that's what you end up doing. I ended up being 15 minutes early for 15-minute rule. So I ended up always being like half an hour early for everything. So there's a part in a Scottish TV show where the guy goes, sorry, I'm early. And it's like really thingy. I think maybe it's Gregory's girl. Sorry, I'm early. It's like such a great line. Sorry, I'm early. It's like what we would all say. I would always say that. Sorry, I went to Atlantic. Sorry, I went to a really good school in New York. Yeah. We did Suzuki training. Yeah. Japanese movement for actors. Yeah. Voice training. Yeah. But I also figured out how to be early. But we also did scene study and shit like that. Like Anya Safar was like really encouraging to me because she was such a fucking genius from New York at the Atlantic, and everyone who went to Atlantic had this depth of experience. Katie Moore taught us viewpoints. I love Anne Bogart's viewpoints, and it was that feeling where you go in and you don't have an ego and you're just running around on the stage doing move, where you feel like you know what's behind you. You can sense when someone else comes on the stage because we all know that. We're not dumb. We know. Our bodies know. All those things were so much a part of like my training. And then so when I was sitting there with Michelle Sader, it felt like so kismet that I'd been given that gift of being an artist and on the stage in New York where you're on time for your fucking call time. Or you're on time for your stage time, Jesus Christ. Of course, you're like 5 hours early before curtain call. Oh my God. Like you just show up because you're not going to be late. So you have to sit there. And I felt like this moment where I could sit with Michelle and have this time with her that was completely unique. And it wasn't like, yo, these are my producers and me. It was, my producers are late. So here we go. Hi, you know. And she was like, yeah, so I'm Michelle Sader and I'm the head of the Sundance Institute. And I'm thinking in my head, I bet Robert Redford made this whole festival just because of his collaboration and friendship and his fucking love and respect for Michelle Sadler as a woman. Like, I felt it. I'm a clairvoyant, I'm a telepath, but I do think that's what was happening. And you get this download when you talk to Michelle where you're like, not only is she a fucking mermaid, but they have had a respectful relationship for decades. Like, we're talking about like since I was born. So I was like 22 at this time. They'd been doing this shit together. Michelle and Robert Redford had been doing this shit together for 22 years. Like, catch up with that, you know? So I'm sitting there just fully respecting whatever's coming out her mouth. But then when she said, I love your film, we all love your film, they said each like programmer said they liked it for a different reason. That's when you know like it's great cinema or something like that. And I was like, okay. She said some like complimentary shit, and then she was like, we want to make you an Annenberg Fellow. And I was like, that's so cool. I want to be an Annenberg Fellow. And I just didn't know what it was, but I was like, yes, because, you know, I was thinking about like my bus journeys to London, or like, do you know what I mean, like fucked up shit you have to do as an actor. All my like being on the subway in New York and having like an apple in my bag and like nothing, no money, nothing, and just like doing these shows and fucking being on the stage and, do you know what I mean, like getting a fucking peanut thing or getting a bagel or something and being like, yo, this is dinner, like, yes, yummy. But feeling that thing of this is New York life, like you don't get to feel anything other than like the most heightened state, and you don't give a fucking shit about money when you're like, the thing that starts you up in this work and as an artist, the thing that starts you is your own respect for yourself. Like, can you impress yourself? Like, can you cry as Molly Malloy again today when she's killing herself in front of all these men in the front page? Again and again and again. Can you do this for a new audience today? And I remember jumping out the window, and I remember like freaking everyone out in that first scene as Molly Malloy on the stage in New York and saying, like starting like to laugh, and they'd be like, fuck, we don't know what Mariana's gonna do. There was all these actors on the stage, these older male actors who were like, fucking Polka's gonna go rogue again, because every day I just did different shit for them, because I felt like if she's gonna kill herself, she has to be like unhinged. She can't just be like the same performance every day. Because you know how boring that gets for an artist. You're like, I've done this like the same way over and over again. I would have to do it differently. Like, you just have to always keep it fresh. My God, Jesus Christ, like, keep it fresh. Like, you want a fresh meal. Give me a fresh meal. I don't want like something that is gone off a wee bit. You know what I mean? It's like a bit moldy and you're like, I don't want to eat that. Like, give me fresh something. Just give me anything as long as it's fresh. So I felt that thing of, okay, what's an Annenberg Fellow? And Michelle Sadler explained it to me. And I'm not going to do it justice, because it was something where I felt as an artist seen. Like, she understood that I'd been on so many buses, that I'd been posh in Glasgow and then working class and then back to being, I don't know, like I always went to like a posh, I went to a very posh school, but like when I was a teenager I was living in like the roughest areas because that's what happened. So it was just my life, and I had this understanding, like woman to woman, artist to artist. It was not in the words she said. It was like her being like, I see you. Our whole fucking community sees you. Robert Redford sees you. And we want you to know you are an Annenberg Fellow. We're going to give you money to... She was like, we're going to give you money. And I was like, wow. Okay, so I get money? And then she was like, yes. And I was like, okay. Like, cash is king. No, I just was like, that is nice. But also the money went to the film. It wasn't like I get to fucking buy some fucking... I don't know, something. It was the money went to the film. And I was like, right. Okay, yeah. Because I was like, yes, no, it's good as going to the movie. And they gave us money, Sundance, between the time that it got in, like in September around my birthday, to it going to Sundance in January. That's when I had a meeting with Michelle Sadler at some point at Sundance offices in LA. And she's like, yo, Mariana, we're making an Annenberg Fellow. We're going to like give you some money to finish the film, to help with the finishing of the movie. And I was like, well, fucking, you know what I mean? Like, I wanted to be like, tickle me and tell me I'm your best pal, because I am okay with that. Do you know what I mean? Like, she was like, is that okay with you? I was like, yes. Put it on my gravestone that I was fine with this moment. And I'm 22, and I was the youngest director, the only woman and the youngest director at the festival for donkey's years. Like, I don't think there's been a younger director in dramatic competition. I've still been waiting for it to happen because I was such a baby. And I think I made Good Dick out of this absolute necessity because all of us were so starved for something creative as an actor. When you get like shafted in 25 different shit auditions and all your pals are going to the same thing, having horrible experiences and being like hollowed out, where you were on the stage in New York and everything was so seductive and everything felt so creative and everyone saw you and you're waving and being like, oh my God, I mean, your mum's proud of you and like Peter Mullen's proud of you. And then you get to LA and everyone's like, oh, wait, so we're not even going to look at you. We don't even care about you. We haven't written anything with you in mind. We don't care about you. Maybe if you make money, that's a good thing. Maybe we can talk about how to do money. And that's the thing I love talking to Moby about, because Moby was like, I don't want to fucking talk about the music industry's money situation and like where we're getting money in the music industry now. Like, he's like, I just want to talk about songs, music, and my artistry. And I was like, yeah, man, like that's why the only music video I've ever done is like I put Moby in a music video and I like made him. It was so sad. It's like such a like longing for life. That is like such a longing for life music video. And Andre Lascaris like shot it in Andre's house in Los Angeles, the most beautiful house, Andre and Tatia's house. Like, I fucking love that house. But anyway, it's very cinematic and thank God we got to show it. And I got to make Moby play dice because my favorite dice game is Kariki, and I was like always playing that with my pals. And Kariki's even in Lion's Mouth Opens. My God, that's how much I fucking played Kariki. It was like every night. And so yeah, I was like, Moby, this is a dice game, you have to learn it now so you can do it in this music video with me. And he was like, okay. And we did it like in that second, and then it was so pretty. But I remember sitting there and Michelle Satter saying all these different things to me, and her saying, you know, we know that it's difficult to make a movie. This is what she said. We know it's hard to make a film. And I remember to go from like a theater actress in New York to Los Angeles and just not even do anything, like not even have had a good audition, basically. You know what I mean? Like, no one fucking gave a shit about me or any of my pals. No one thought we were good at anything. People were like, you need to wear more V-necks and then you'll get more parts. Or you didn't get that job because you were too tall or too short, or, do you know what I mean, your arm was in the wrong place in that one moment. And I was like, that's not the reason I didn't get the job. The reason I didn't get the job is something else that they're not even going to tell you. And they don't even want to tell you because they weren't even looking up from whatever the fuck they were looking at. You know what I mean? Like, they don't even take you in. The casting directors at that time and everyone we worked with before, they didn't give a shit. They didn't give a shit. So I had felt this rebellion against that. Good Dick was like this roar out of the fucking desert, fucking nothing. It was like a drought. Nobody had fucking anything. We didn't have anything. We would just like go to music shows. We'd see like Virginia's play music shows and be like, they're a nice band. Like, what a fucking cool group of people. Where the fuck's our job? You know what I mean? Like, what are we going to do? Because as actors, you have to be, this is the thing, you have to be, this is what Robert Redford understood, why he became a producer. You don't have any control. You have to be employed by somebody. Someone's like, that's the person for it. Yes. So you can't just like stand on the street and like do Hamlet. I've tried that. In New York, I used to do Lion's Mouth Opens on the subway for people. And everyone in New York was like, this chick is fucking mental. And I didn't get any money because I thought I'd make money if I became a busker. And everyone in New York was like, that's not how you make money in this town, girl. Like, do something else. Like, that's not it. Like, no. Like, they were like, go to the theater and, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. We'll employ you to be in plays, but not like, in New York, they see you as an artist for different ways, but not in the way that I was like trying for. But anyway, I just felt like you've been told no in all these different ways. And then Michelle Satter's sitting there and being like, we're your family, we accept you, we're giving you money, we're sponsoring you, you're an Annenberg Fellow, you're part of the team. Like, it felt like not only are you here, but you're going to be here forever. And we understand it was very difficult coming here on this journey. And it was like the heroes or heroines journey where you're like, oh my God, falling down that cliff, falling up this way. Oh, no, that slipped there. Okay, no, it's all the rocks falling on me now. Okay, I'll just lie down because I'm bleeding. Okay, not bleeding anymore, get up. Okay. And you just have this journey as an artist that's not anything close to what it looks like when you just see a feature film and everyone's like, wow, that is so put together, and there's a lot of like bells and whistles, and there's all these bows put on it, and everyone's like happy, you know. It looks so easy, and that's what it should look like. Good art should look and feel easy, like on the tongue and on the palate. It should feel like it washes over you in this gorgeous way. But I also think about it sometimes where I go, oh my God, the journey to get there as a young person, even from like 21 to 22, that was a hard year. 20 to 21, hard year. Like I was in New York 17, loving it. And that was a good year because I was like, New York's amazing. This is my place. American dreams come true for me. I'm from Scotland and I'm 17 and the American dream came true for me so young. What the fuck is this? You know, like you feel compelled by the nature of other people and other artists going, yeah, I see you, by the way. And it was this dream come true to have that feeling where you're working with people and you're feeling good. And then that thing of going to Los Angeles the first time was like, okay, I think if I go to LA, I think I can save money. And it felt like there was so many artists in LA. There's like America Martin's got like a whole block of her paintings that she's working on. And she bought that block. And you're like, oh, so her paintings bought her this fucking block of her other paintings that she can make more while she's here. Like, she's not in like a wee studio being like, this is tiny and I'm doing it. It's like, no. This chick has like a whole block of like a building in you know what I mean, in Echo Park. You're like, yes, this is the type of place you want to be. And that feeling of vastness that's in LA where like your dreams can come true there because everyone has time. Everyone's got the sunshine. I think there's something about that. Robert Redford was born in Santa Monica. His name was Charles. It wasn't like, his name's Charles Robert, but you know what I mean? Like, he wasn't a movie star. He was just like a dude. He didn't have any fucking money and shit like that. He had to be an artist in Paris, and they told him as a painter when he was young in Paris, when he was that age, like early 20s, where everything's intense and you just feel so unseen and like, you know, nothing's ever going to happen correctly for you. Like, you just feel like your dream is far away. But it's just right there. It's like right in your face. You just don't know it. It's like right about to happen. Like you're about to have all the doors open for you, and you're about to be shot into outer space. But Robert Redford in Paris, a painting teacher said to him, I'm very disappointed in your work. You're not a good painter. Which I'm sure he was a fucking genius, amazing painter. But because that Parisian person said that to him, he folded and like came back to America, and that was his journey. And I think about that all the time when I think about me being an Annenberg Fellow when I was a child. Then after that, Sean Connery gave me the award for Good Dick for directing it. And that's a whole other video. I just wanted to do something and talk about the native voices in radical form, and talk about the people that I know are really good family members who are out there doing this shit. They're good people in the real world. They're not assholes. They don't, like, they're very loving, and they're doing something that's deep. And you can't say enough about why that's beautiful. So this is for Robert Redford. It's for all the people who, you know, like the wee ones at Sundance that are coming up now. It's insanity to me that the Sundance Film Festival is moving to Colorado. Like, I love Colorado, don't get me wrong. I actually love Estes Park. Like, I fucking love, like, I'm actually like a Colorado girl. I understand that place on a visceral level. It's great. I just think it's so poetic that Redford built this festival, loved Utah, was the Sundance Kid in Utah in the 70s, was Paul Newman. He used that artistic feeling of what it felt like to be an outlaw, and that's how he made a film festival. He wasn't like, I'm going to do this for the people who are the money folks, or somebody who's like bringing a perspective that is really judgmental. It's like, no, do you know what? Like, we're outlaws. I'm a fucking outlaw king. You're an outlaw queen. You know who we are? We're the electric horsemen. You know what I mean? Like, he's a fucking cowboy and he has lights on him. Like, my favorite film of his where he is with Jane Fonda. And people said, I can't believe that Jane Fonda and Robert Redford cast himself as these like heroes. You know, they're lovers and heroes, and It's like Eros. Of course, I was like, this is Eros, where it's Eros works out. Eros is always there and loves her forever, and she's the same. She just loves him forever, and that's where we meet them. We go, oh wow, what a journey that they went on because they get to be together. And I remember Redford being like, what the fuck's wrong with that? Like, I don't care about critics telling me shit. Like, they would have, if I made a film about it being an anti-hero, they'd be like, well, come on, where's the heroes? You know, like, it would just be fucking devil's advocate over and over again, because they don't give a shit. They haven't made anything. They don't know what they're talking about. The only reviewer I give a shit about, and if you're watching this, I care about you, Anthony Lane, call me. You can review all my films. Anthony Lane puts shit in perspective where you're like, he will watch Showgirls for the New Yorker, and then he'll say, oh, this is like the Can girls in Paris. There's a point to this in society. We don't have to say, oh, why are we seeing these chicks like kicking their legs? It's because it's divine to watch. You know what I mean? People like to see in cinema, it's Magic Mike. People like to see Alex being a kid and learning what it means to be a stripper. Yo, Alex Pettifer, I worked with you in Collection right after that, and I remember the collaboration level that was as well. It was next level. I feel like I only did like half my work on this video, because I only did like half of the stuff that went to Sundance, because the other half, like me hosting the award show and all that, is like its own video. So God, I made so many like sex cinema jokes hosting that award show, and I literally got laughs. I knew I pulled out of the programmers that they've never laughed about, and I was like, oh my God, like I can only do this because I'm Scottish and here. But also it felt like every time I went to the festival, it was cold. I would have to have a plan. You know, you're always like going in taxis, you're always getting hot chocolate, you're always sitting in a film and watching like 5 films a day and trying to eat food, because you don't get dinner, you don't get lunch, you don't get breakfast, because you're watching cinema for the entire fucking day. And I love that. Like, I love the bacon at, oh my God, the bacon at the breakfast at Stein Eriksen. Like, can everyone get an award for that? Because nobody knows how good that bacon is. It's like maple, it's like doused in maple syrup. I don't know what they're doing there, but I think they're dousing this. The Stein Eriksen is named after like a Swedish skiing genius, and he built this chalet in Park City, and he said, yo, if you can take a loss the same way you take a win, then you're a champion. And that's kind of like on the wall there. And when you're there for Sundance, you feel like, oh my God, this guy understands us. He gets the artist's journey. Yeah, but I'm telling you now, kids who are out in Sundance, I don't care what the fuck you're doing, get up to Park, get to Park City. I know you're not going there because you're going to Colorado. All right, anyone who goes to Colorado for the Sundance Film Festival, that's fine. Like, I love you guys anyway. Like, obviously, I know it's going to be great. I just think it's interesting that my hero, Robert Redford, my best pal, he passed away before the festival even went to Colorado. So to me, I don't know, it's just, it says something. There are cycles to things, and he spent his life building this thing in Utah. And of course, it's like the Queen died in Scotland. Do you know what I mean? Like, she didn't die in Buckingham Palace, she fucking died in Balmoral. You know what I mean? Like, she's Scottish, guys. Like, correct. There's this feeling where people choose when to birth themselves. I think they choose when to become an artist, and I think they choose, it's very radical. You decide before. Like, when I was doing Good Dick, the hard time wasn't doing the movie. That was easy as fuck. The hard time was like the year before doing the movie, where I knew I was a director, not an actress, and had to like walk into rooms, people saying I'm an actor, when I literally was like, that's blasphemy. I feel like a film director. I am a film director. Like, what the fuck's going on internally? And I said to everyone I knew, every family member and every friend, I was like, I'm going to lose friends over this. I might lose family members over becoming a director. I don't know what the fuck's going to happen, because I am going to do this film or I'll die. If I don't do this film Good Dick right now, I will die. That's how it felt. That's what you're talking about when you feel those stakes as an artist, and you can recognize it in other artists. We just understand each other. There's a shorthand where you go, oh yeah, hi, you again. Like, I get it. You know, like, you get it. You get what it's like. I bless the time in Colorado. I know that it's going to be like a future with all these like female filmmakers, brilliant female directors, female actresses who are there. And there's going to be a vibe that's not what it was before, where it was just like, oh, I had a DGA meeting. I wasn't even in the DGA, but I got invited to the DGA to go to the Sundance party with all the directors for 2000 and whatever the year was when I was 22. And every director who was there was a guy, and he was older. They were all like 60s, 50s, 40s. And I was like this, whatever I looked like walking in there. And they said, so who are you here with? Who's plus one are you? All of them. Like, they're all artistic men, and they'd all spend their lives making a film or whatever, but they were like, yo, who's plus one are you? Or like, what? Like, who are we doing here? So you're here with like your husband, or is that your boyfriend? Like, which of these directors are you here with? Every single one of them said that to me, and there was like thousands of them. So it was hard not to be like, oh, what? Like, why is that a thing? Because none of them cunts in there had to say, hi, I'm a man, I'm a male director. You know, like, they just didn't have, I didn't have to be like, so where's your wife? Like, who really did this movie? Like, you know what I mean? Like, they didn't know anything about my film. They didn't know that I had directed a film, so they just assumed I was somebody's belonging, or like an addition to, like, I had come as somebody's plus one. And the entire party was saying that to me. So then when I kept saying no, I just said to all of them, I was like, yo, I'm actually, and I said it so kindly. I was like, so sweet. I wasn't a dick about it, because the Glasgow party view wants to go like, and like get intense. But I just didn't think it was appropriate to ever say like anything mean on the street to anybody. So I was always like, but I was in the DGA as well. Like, this is my first time in the DGA building. Like, it was my first time even going in there. And it's like a dome. It's the side. It's a fucking womb. I'm sorry. It's like a big fucking fanny. It's a big fanny in Los Angeles. It's a big like bronze colored gold fanny in LA, and all these men go in there, and you're like, guys, it's a circle, okay? You started here from your mom's womb. Maybe you want to talk about it in a different way or something, or I don't know. I said to them very calmly and very respectfully, even though they had all been really judgmental, I was like, oh, I'm actually here, it's, you know, the Sundance party, and I'm actually here with my film that I directed. And they were like, what? What? They had all these like, what? Like, everyone that I went to, they all said, why are you here? Like, who are you here with? And like, who's plus one are you? What's your name? And like, they didn't fucking give a shit. And they were like confused. And then they all were like, what? And then I was like, yeah, I'm here with my movie that I directed. And they were like, it's a short. And I was like, no, it's a feature. And they were like, it's a documentary. And I was like, no, it's a narrative. Because these are all like the hierarchies in their brain. So like, the highest thing you can do in that world as a director is is not a documentary, it's a narrative feature, which is what I did with Good Dick. I didn't start as a short director. I never did that. I just went to features immediately. I just knew that was my place. And I said, no, it's a narrative feature. And all of them were just like, what the fuck, man? Like, what? And then I was like, and I was like, yeah, it's in dramatic competition. And so they were all like, oh my God, like, why? What? And that's when I also saw my teacher, Clark Gregg from Atlantic, at that party. And he said, it's taken him, like, he used to have to sell like, what's it called? Like, he used to have to sell bracelets, like friendship bracelets in like St. Mark's Place in New York. You know, like, he used to be a street vendor. He was going to Atlantic, but he was doing plays and shit, but he didn't have any money. So he was like a street vendor in New York. Like, he wasn't making money from this shit immediately, obviously. So like, he said to me, yo, I'm like in my 40s or whatever, and it's taken me decades to do this. And you're standing here like as a 22-year-old, and you've just done it somehow. Like, he didn't say like nobody knows why or how that happened, but he just was pointing that fact out, you know? And I don't know what it was. Maybe my movie was, maybe because it was called Good Dick, or it was shot so beautifully, and it was really like my Polish cinema inside me, and it was an homage to like my mum as an artist, and it was because this was about a woman who's been sexually abused. It had like a point to it, and it was inverting the patriarchy. It was like, it's not about, you know, a guy called Richard. The characters don't have names in it. It's about what happens if you do get, what does that actually mean? Like, what does good penis actually mean? Like, what's an ethical penis? And I was saying this to these men who are like 60, you know what I mean? Like, they're like, you know, I was saying like such vast shit, and they'd be like, yo, okay, you know, and I was like, you should watch it, like, come to, when we're at the festival, like, come and see it, you know. But it was just one of those things where it was funny. It was funny because I did all that on purpose. Like, I knew what I was doing, and I was big on purpose, and I was young and big, and I wanted to be big and good, and even though I was young, and I didn't want to apologize for it. And I felt like in that room there was a lot of people who had worked so hard and slogged for so long, obviously, for decades, and they felt like maybe I was just being given this thing, and maybe they would have treated me like that if I was a 22-year-old man or whatever. I don't know what it was. It wasn't just me being a woman. It was like the age thing as well, and it wasn't just, I don't know what it was, but it was a lot of different vibes where I always just never talked about that, because maybe like 2 of my mates know that happened, and I didn't tell anyone. Like, I didn't tell my mom that because I didn't want to be like, oh, Sundance is a bit like, it's the most perfect thing, but like I had to go to this party that was so wacky and the DGA, and then I had this kind of association with the DGA for no reason, that it was filled with men, when actually we open the doors and it's filled with ladies. And if you're driving past, it's on Sunset, you can drive past and be like, Mariana was right, it does look a vagina. It's a vagina. It's like a vag. It's a big womb. It's an oval. It's like the Oval Office in the States. It's an oval because it's a vag. You're like, guys, this is where babies are made. So, or where babies grow, sorry. Well, yeah, I guess babies are made there too. What am I talking about? That's why I didn't do biology. Yeah. But anyway, I felt all these feelings today where I wanted to just honor the longing and the shyness and the worry and like the perpetual confusion that it is to be a youngster out there, and you just don't know what you're meant to do sometimes. And I knew what I had to do. I said, this is my acorn. I'm supposed to do this thing. And it felt so profound, and some people don't have that, and that's fucking normal and fine. And do you know what I mean? It's okay to be with somebody who's building something for the environment, someone who's a pal who's building something else, and you don't have to have these people who are like so dancing on the tables. Like, I was always like dancing on tables and extrovert and could run teams and was such a good leader and all these different things, and I'm gonna lead fucking huge teams for the rest of my life. Like, I know that, I'm okay with it, but I'm not confused about the fact that half the people out there are introverts, shy, sitting at home, and they don't talk to anyone. And if you say, do you want to go to a party, they're like, I would rather die. I'd rather die than go to a party. And you're like, do you want me to get you a birthday present? And they're like, I would rather die than get a birthday present. And my thing is like, get me the present. Here's where I want you to get it from. Like, you know what I mean? I'm always like, what? I'll send you a link to like the gold I like or something. No, I'm not that insane. But I do think there's a difference between shy people. And we all started there. Like, we all started somewhere that's very real and based in like, you know what I mean? Like, if my mates in Glasgow didn't like the stuff I was doing, like Sammy Mulgrew, Buckle My Shoe, who literally is my best friend, she and I grew up together in Thornton Hall. She was my neighbour. Sammy and I, she's very shy. If she hadn't done all the stuff she did, like when I was doing Neds with Mullen, I stayed at Sammy's house. I stayed in her flat, and she would just like run me baths, and like she wouldn't talk to me when I was doing Neds because she didn't want to be like, so what else happened today in the most magical day of your life? Okay, yeah, great. No, she just talked to me after. Like, when we were done, she was like, so what was it like? You know, like, I was like, it was epic. Mullen was everything. And I was just like, he was so nice to everybody. He was so kind. Mullen put my granny, Inez Mullen, and my granny, my Polish granny, Babcia, my mum's mum, my very, like, that side of the family are very kind of like, all the women look like Sophia Loren and have like deep souls and never get upset. Like, they don't shout about anything. They're just like very serene and passionate about everything. really always artistic and creative, where you're like, what are you doing? And they're like making lace, fixing something, or building a table or some shit, or they're like fixing an engine. And you're like, wait, how do you know how to do shit like that? Polish people just know a bunch of stuff to do. They're like all carpenters. You're like, okay. But anyway, like I've only ever had family members in Poland and Scottish family members here, like who become family members. Like Mullen, he became like Babcia's best pal and closest, and you know, he went to her house when he was doing Magdalene Sisters, when he was trying to get inspired after his writer's block for Magdalene Sisters. He went to Babcia's house, and I feel like we kind of warmed him up and got him all creative and talked a lot about different things. And Babcia, my granny, was very unique. I mean, she was not very unique, she was just unique, but she had this perspective, a magical perspective that no one else had. Like I said to her, she was like, I was a white witch in my little village and you're a white witch now in this generation. Very good, very light filled, very healing for people. Like you're gonna do these like mass healings. That's what she saw for me, is like artistry with mass healings on like a big level, on a big scale. But she was really, really kind to Peter Mullen, and so we had that thing where he was best pals with my granny. Like, of course, that's how he is. So then when she came to set, because we were shooting next to Queen's Park, King's Park, like all on the south side of Glasgow, and he said, Babcia was there the whole day, and he was like, look, this is Mariana in her scene, and he put my granny, first of all, in his director's chair, and he gave her his headset and, do you know what I mean, like his ears, and you're like, the sound, so she could listen. And then he walked slowly to the sound guy and got another pair for himself. And then, do you know what I mean, like my mum was there too, and he was just talking to them about everything. And it was the first time my granny had ever been on a set, so she didn't know that was the director's chair. But I knew. So when I come up to the monitor and they're like, you did so well, like this is the whole day where they're seeing me in this scene, and I was like, yeah, oh my god. And I just remember like clocking that vibe where I was like, Mullen's already been loving on them like this whole time I've been working in the other room, because we were shooting in a school that day. And I just remember going, he's on another level. Like I have always tried to know everybody's granny's name. I've always like known everyone's parents. Like I want to know who people are on set so that they feel that level of just genuine appreciation and familiarity, where you're going, yo man, like we're all family, we're all in this together. And it makes him this is the thing that I understand, it makes Mullen a better director to do that. Like for him to go and do these epic scenes in that film, he had to do it by just chatting to my granny and being really in the moment with her, so then he could go do this other thing and come back and just be low key and be grateful. And the thing that Robert Redford said too always was, be fucking humble. Like he didn't like it when people got up themselves. He hated that. If there's an actor out there who's like, I've got a movie at Sunday, he'd be like, shut the fuck up, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like he was like, I don't fucking think so, pal. Get out. Like you can't be an egotist and be at the festival, and you can't be egotistical and be a director. Like he knew that you have to be under it and like service it, and you're riding underneath it. Like you're not just the most important thing. Like you're just not, you're part of a community. And that's what I love about what he put into the festival. And it's the last thing I'll say, but it's what I love about him, is he put himself into that festival in a way that was so much of a service to other artists, for the future of artists, for the kids coming up, so they'll know they're seen, so they'll know they're able to do stuff. And his intention was like, yo, let's have more Native American voices in cinema. And then that happened. We have these epic now Native American voices in cinema and in TV, where you go, oh yes, like it's happened. Like the thing that he and Michelle Satter dreamt about, and like probably like art flirted about, what they could only have fathomed is what's happening now with Native American cinema. And the Native program at the festival is like the best program. And I've seen so many people go from like, what is a camera and like what is a fucking shot and shit, to like no, like now they're doing everything. And it's like, what's the script? And it's like, no mate, just get like final draft, you'll be all right. Like it's not that hard. Like I wrote Good Dick really fast. I got final draft. I wrote Good Dick in Word, I think. I started Good Dick in Word. This is true. I mean, this is so shameful for writers out there. They're like, ew, like that's blasphemy. But it's true. I wrote like the first 60 pages of Good Dick and Word or something. And then Nick Town told me about Final Draft because he's a fucking writer genius who directed me in a fucking amazing film in New York. Oh my God, that I did with Zach Whedon. Oh my God, where I was like a robot or something. He was a robot. Zach Whedon was a robot and I was like his gangster lover who just like came to a party and he was like, who's this lady with all this like gangsters with her? She's got like a gang with her, and I was like, a gang of men, and me coming into party with a gang of men, like I will take that job. Correct, that's fine for me. I can act that. It's fine. It's easy for me. It was funny as well because Nick Town is such a savant genius writer too, so a great director. I said to him, so Final Draft, what is that? And he was like, mate, this is it. Like it's gonna help you. You're gonna love it. And then because he told me that, I was suddenly screenwriter, director, everything. You know what I mean? Like it was so next level. So you all start somewhere. And that's the thing as well, that we don't have to be beating ourselves up or thinking, oh my God, like who are we really? Or we should be doing something else. Or am I really good enough? Or there's so many voices like, oh, I used to stand in my shower when I was doing Good Dick, when I was cutting it in 2007. I was in Los Angeles cutting that film for a year. My editor was like amazing. I said, yo, he had been an assistant editor and then he edited Good Dick because I was like, I want to employ you as this editor. You're just the head editor and that's it. Like you don't have to like assist anymore. And it was shit like that where you felt like, oh my God, that is such a good vibe. So we spent every single day in this editing room, like at Cora and Jen's flat or something. Like why wasn't in Cora and Jen's flat? They had like an apartment in California, like on Vista. And that's where I like cut Good Dick, and he showed me the cut of it like the day after I had finished. He showed me the assembly day after I'd finished acting and directing it. And he was like, do you want to work off of my assembly after we watched it, or do you want to start from scratch? And I was like, I want to start from scratch. And he was like, okay. So that meant like all of his work was away and we had to start from the beginning because I couldn't see fucking straight. Like I had just directed something I wrote that was about all this stuff, how it had to change the world. It had to like honor Polish cinema. It had to honor Scottish cinema. It had to honor my mom. It had to honor Peter Mullen. It had to honor me as a like actress becoming something else. Like it had to honor all this stuff. It had to honor all my dudes in it. Like all the dudes who are fucking great actors. And Charlie, oh my God, Charlie was so good. Charles Durning is in Good Dick and he has the most sweetest scene that I wrote for him, which is like he comes in and he says, guys, believe in love. I don't care if it's with a man or a woman, just fall in love, like, and be with your wife forever. Like be with that person forever. Because life's too short, you know, like just do that, fall in love now. And it's such a beautiful scene. And this wasn't written and I didn't direct this, but he turns around to them before he leaves the video store and he goes like that. And like I had said that's my picked take, you know, because I would pick all the takes I liked. And I was like, mate, when he did that was like high-end cinema. And I just feel like Charlie doing that in my film, like, I don't know why it made me feel like, no, I can do anything if Charles Durning can go like that. Because the other thing he was doing backstage, not backstage, but like behind the scenes, it was like 5 a.m. because we shot that whole film in the middle of the night because the only time we could film in the video shop was in the middle of the night because they had to stay open every single day during the day. So that was our MO. So we'd go at night. Like the whole thing was night shoots. It's just crazy actually if you think about it. And Charles was not a young man. He came in like 3 a.m. He had read the script like 15, 20 times, or like he was like, I'm going to read it 50 times before I'm done with it. And I was like, how come you read the whole script? Like you always do that. Like when he did a play, he always read the whole play like all the time. He just kept reading it over and over again. And he was like, details, Palka. Like he gets so many details. And the fact that he was reading my script over and over again while he was acting in it was also such a gift to me. Like I was just like, this fucking guy like understands me. And then he had such a dirty joke in the middle of the night. He's like, it was his coverage and I was like, Charlie, can you move over a wee bit to the left? Because we just need you to be in the frame like a wee bit over to the left, you know, like more centered or whatever. So Charlie's like moving, and I think it was a note from from Andre, because Andre's like, yo, Miranda, like, he's not even center frame or something. And it's, I'm like telling Charlie this from the monitor, but then I'm like coming over to just move his shoulder because it's just easier. And Charlie says on, like, this is on camera, like, this is filmed on camera for all of time. Like, it's behind the scenes footage if you ever want to watch it. I don't even think it's available to watch, but this happened and we have the footage of it. And he goes, he says, Mariana, if you want to give me a hand job, that would be easier. Just give me a hand job and that'll be easier. And like, we're rolling. And I was like, oh my goodness. I don't know, like I fell down laughing because I thought it was the funniest thing to say to a director. I don't know why. I was like, yeah, it wasn't offensive to me at all. It was just fucking funny. And it like taught me that everything can be lighthearted if it's put in the right context. Like, it's okay. I mean, like a sex joke like that coming from Charles Durning to like the youngest fucking director on the planet is fine. Like, it just, I don't know, like I was a baby, so it didn't bother me. It was no chance of me being like, well, he said a dirty joke or something, because everyone laughed. Also, it made the night go faster, because he said that. It made us all bond, and we could all talk about Charlie saying that joke, being like, how fucking dirty was that joke? It was so dirty. Like, coming out of the man who's like the geriatric on the set, you know what I mean? That's the funny part of it. It wasn't like he was in his 60s. He was in like his 80s, and he'd worked with like De Niro, you know what I mean? Like, you're like, I said to him, I really like your jacket today, Charlie. One of the days I was seeing him that wasn't the film, I said, yo, you've got like a leather jacket. You look like James Dean. Because I always really liked James Dean. It's like, you look like James Dean. And I thought that was a compliment. And Charles Durning was like, oh, I fucking hated that guy. That guy was an ass. No, he goes, that guy was an asshole. He didn't even say I fucking hate that guy. That guy was an asshole. Immediately he just said that. And I said, what? And he's like, yeah, that guy was an asshole. Fucking. I had to like put him straight. He had to like punch him up sometimes. He had to like always punch him because he was an asshole at parties. So he would like take him outside and just punch him. And I just remember being like, Charles Durning punched the shit out of James Dean. Like, where have I been? I didn't know this. Like, how's this not like in the history books? They should be putting that in documentaries and shit, you know, about cinema. That Charles Durning didn't like James Dean because he was an asshole. Charlie also had this imprint on his chest that was of the person that he had killed, who was like a guy who was in the war with him, like a German soldier. They had like hand-to-hand combat, and it was like going to be Charles killing him or this German kid killing Charlie, and Charlie just killed the German guy with his bare hands. And because of that, he has this imprint of the guy's palm in his chest that never went away. And it was stories like that where I go, those are my Polish guys who went through the war as well. Like, they told me so many stories of Polish soldiers. I was best pals with them when I was a teenager, but also like when I was 5, they would tell me stories about their wives that they lost, you know, people who died, or like women that they were running after and trying to save and couldn't, and family members and babies and stuff. And you just like hear about it and you go, yeah, I mean, that was their war stories, and none of them ever thought they were going to get out of the war. So the fact that the Polish soldiers could come to Glasgow after the war, it was like very surreal that they could even be a person in the world. Never mind have a family, never mind have a wee perfect family like we were. I mean, my sister and I were such little perfect sweethearts, and I listened to those war stories thinking they probably haven't said this to their new wives, they probably haven't said this to their mates. Like, maybe they don't share this stuff, but maybe they can tell me because I'm 5. And I used to sit on their laps, and their laps were wooden. That's the thing, they used to like shake me on their laps, but their laps were not flesh. It was like all wooden appendages or whatever, because they were amputees. So all that was part of why I felt like I could do anything, because, you know, if that generation had to deal with that, I think we're all right with whatever our wee problems are in the world. And then one of the days I was in LA, Kim Basinger's manager said she wanted to meet me at Jerry's Famous Deli in the Valley. And I was like, that has to be fucking not true, because first of all, why would Kim Basinger want to meet me? Have a meeting with me. Second, if it was Kim Basinger, this was really Kim Basinger, she wouldn't want to meet at Jerry's fucking Famous Deli in the Valley. Like, that is so cool. That's like too cool a place to go. It's like going to a chip shop in Glasgow or something. It's like somebody from like the most beautiful, talented person saying, hey, I've worked in this industry for so long, but, you know, let's meet in Jerry Swimmers Deli. She did want to meet me there. And it was like she had like a good dick bumper sticker in an ethical, in a metaphorical sense. She was like such a fan of my film. She felt like it was her story. She felt like it was her childhood. A lot of people came up to me after the festival at Eccles, and there was guys in suits with like the most fanciest watches. And you're talking about like, I could make a whole film with what their watch cost them to buy because they're like working in finance or whatever, and they just came to Sundance for fuck knows what reason. But they would stand there and cry with me for ages, and they wouldn't be able to get their words out. After the Q&A at the Eccles, where I had also been at the brunch, the lunch which Robert Redford has for you when you first go to the film festival. If you go and you're a director, you go to that director's lunch, brunch, and he tells you that you can do anything. And whilst that was happening, Good Dick was also simultaneously playing the biggest rock concert rock concert cinema that there is. Eccles is like, it's like hundreds of thousands of people. It just feels like in like a huge audience, and you cannot get away from a bad film at Eccles. Like if it's bad, everyone is just sitting in their seat, or they're shifting in their seat, and the audience are all just individuals. But if it's a good film, the audience is one wave, and they're breathing together, and they're crying together with your film, and they're laughing where they're supposed to laugh because you left a space for them to laugh. Then they're on to the next thing because they're like seduced by you as a director, and you've got them. Do you know what I mean? Like it's either like in the Echoes, you can play like a small cinema and you could be a shit film no one knows because like nobody's there. But if it's a fucking group of this like amoeba that is an audience in Echoes, where it's so big, you can't get away from a shit moment. You can't get away from a joke that doesn't work. Like they won't like it. So they also had this standing ovation. I feel like something crazy was happening at Eccles where it was just like on another level. I just had this brunch with Robert Redford, and then I'm going to the Q&A and I'm talking about making the film, talking about being from Glasgow, Scotland, talking about my mom. I don't know what I was talking about. I talked about everyone who made it with us. I said thank you to everybody, and I said thank you to every programmer I said thank you to Michelle Sadder, thank you to Robert Redford. I said thank you to everyone who helped. And then I also had everyone who was part of it on the stage with us. So that was nice. At Eccles, you can really have your whole crew and cast up there. And after the Q&A, there was this long queue, like thousands of people long, to say something to us. And they would come up to me and they would be crying, and they would say like, you know, that was really moving for me because I was sexually abused or something. But this guy who was literally decked out in a suit, looked like $1 million, looked like he had a watch that was worth $1 million, standing there crying and can't get his words out. And he's one of many people who I was talking to, and he just came up and he said, because they were all coming up one at a time, he said, Mariana, thank you for making that film. And I was like, oh, are you moved by it because you were in a relationship like that? And he was like, no, that was my childhood. As in, like, he was sexually abused as a child. And I didn't know his name. I didn't know what his job was. I didn't know where the fuck he was from. But he just cried on my shoulder, you know what I mean? And I was like, this was like the mass healing my granny was talking about. It's not about like my ideas, you know? Me as an artist coming up with shit like randomly. That's the thing that people who have done a bunch of films know. Your ideas are great, but you're not getting that far with them. It's more about the collaboration that you have with everyone, people putting all their 2 cents in, you giving back, you saying to Elijah Wood, you know what, maybe bitch isn't about the end of it being like all about her. Maybe it's about the marriage and them having a great marriage, and it, you know, it's marital and it's about family and like devotion. And Elijah was like, okay, man, like it's your movie, but also that's the non-feminine version of it, you know what I mean? And I was like, correct, I guess is. It's not like militant feminism over here. Elijah's a better woman than me. Elijah Wood, that's the key to this fucking whole thing, is Elijah Wood's a better woman than me, and he's more militant of a feminist than me and all those things. So he would go to war to defend women, and I just sit back and go, let's talk about it, but I'm not going to fight anybody. I do have like protective instincts where if someone in the ring with Glow, if someone was being like attacked or something, I would go in and protect them, but I don't have aggression. I'm 100%, I scold 100% for protective instincts, but there's no aggression. So that's what I'm dealing with. But I felt this thing of the full circle of sitting at Eccles and Jesus Christ, like we could do that. And I sat with oh my God, so many filmmakers where their movies didn't play well at Echoes. Like I sat with so many directors where they had a shit time there. And you can't say, oh, I had this epic mass healing thing where I felt like it was transcendent and like somebody, you know, everyone was crying on my shoulder, and like you can't say that to a filmmaker there. You just have to like sit it out with them. And somebody did a film, I Like It Ruffalo, Mark Ruffalo. This is why I remember him, because at the Golden Globes, Tina Fey and Amy Poehler said, I like it Ruffalo. And I was like, oh my God. They wrote that line like, oh my God. That's just funny. Sorry, it's funny. So Ruffalo was sitting fucking next to me at Echoes when his thing that he had directed, his movie, was playing, and somebody had given him a raft or a shaft. He'd been like reamed by some, I don't even know who, like if it was like bloggers online or if it was like the critics from some magazine, because I don't read them. I don't read like critiques of other artists' work. I don't say like, oh look, this is what somebody says about this art, because I don't have time for that shit. Like I'm just making the movies and employing other people and shit like that. So when Ruffalo was sitting there, like he had this feeling where he felt like he was sitting next to me at Echoes and he felt like he had been flayed, like picked apart. And like his artistry as a director, where he's going from being an actor to a director, just like I had done, just like everyone I know has done, just like Mullen, just like everybody. I mean, it's not like we've seen that before, Sam Shepard and shit. This is like an iconic thing you do. Like Robert Redford did it, you know what I mean? Like people direct shit. If they're actors, sometimes they become directors. This is not confusing. It's not like a surgeon became a director. Like didn't we think that we did like theatre school for a reason, so we could pick our job and be like, do I want to be a stage manager or do I want to be, you know what I mean? Like maybe I will be an actor. That's cool. Okay, maybe I'll be a director. Like you think of this because you have these ideas, you have these options, you know you can do whatever you want to do. So it's not like confusing to the world. To me, it's not like a stretch that Mark Ruffalo would be a great director, and he was. Like I watched the film and I was like, it's a fucking beautiful film. Like Mark Ruffalo, this is like gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. But the critics didn't treat him like that, and he didn't get his Echoes to be the healing thing that it was for me and my crew and my cast and my producers. It was, and everyone who believed in me, and Michelle Satter sitting there, like, you know, it was so beautiful to see. And I had just come from the Robert Redford brunch, so I had all this stuff happening at Echoes with my Echoes screening, because you have screenings in different theatres with your film the whole festival. And I was so pissed off for Mark Ruffalo that he didn't get to have that feeling of like, yes, Mark, we see you as a director. Here you go, you're welcomed and everything's perfect, because some group of like random reviewers said some random shit. I don't even know what they were upset about, but it wasn't a good critique like what you can get in a really good critic's actual critique of your work, where they're part of they've got skin in the game as well, you know, like Anthony Lane actually knows the history of cinema, so he can tell you, do you know what, I see that, do you mean like he'd probably see my movies and be like, I see that you're a Polish director, like I see that you're like influenced by Kieślowski, but I also see that you have the Ken Loach thing and Peter Mullen, you know, like you have all these people that are in you because you came up in that time where you were seeing those films and you didn't have a TV. So that's why you're a director. We can see that from your work, you know, it's in there. There's all this Polish and Scottish jokes and everything I do, even though it's all American shit. And I was like, yes. Like if you could be critiqued like that, and maybe Anthony Lane, if he did critique any of my films, would have said, oh, do you know what, like do this or do that less, Mariana, because this is getting lame or it's so annoying or we've already seen it before. Or he would be, because he's English, like he would be really thoughtful and really honest and really kind, but also like sharp and have like a point. And it would be something where you feel like you're being cut up and it's good because now you're butchered meat instead of just like raw meat on the table, you know? And as an artist, that can feel really good because you go, oh my God, like I'm being understood and seen, and then now I'll be enabled in my work in the future. And that's what I wanted from Mark Ruffalo from that experience, was him to feel like it was somebody saying something great about his work or somebody saying something that was helpful about his work, but he didn't get that. He just got like shafted, and it felt unfair like artist to artist, I was like, it's not fair that he has to go through that. And he had to do a Q&A standing there and being like, yeah, so I know the critics hate this, but like I made it with love in my heart for cinema or something. And you're like, mate, like, of course, like, fuck what they say, like, don't even listen to them. But it's very hard to do that when like everyone in the street is like, so how'd you feel about it? How'd you feel about it? How'd you feel about it? Because then people all know that you got like filleted, you're like a fillet of fish now, you know what I mean? And there were so many times where it was like, ooh, you know, you'd be at a party and it wasn't the native party, it was like some other party at Sundance, and you'd go, this is not the vibe, guys, you know? And people went to a lot of gifting lounges for a long time. That was the thing, they just like give you all this free stuff. And I was always like, guys, like, can we give it to people who need free stuff? Because there's people out there who don't have stuff, and we all have shoes and shit like that. So why are we getting free shoes? Like, let's give them to people who don't have shoes. That should be the charity at Sundance, as opposed to giving people who already have everything more. Maybe I'm too like whatever left wing about that, but there's parts of me that's very in the middle of the road, and there's parts of me that can be not right wing, but like I can see all sides of everything. So politically, I feel like nobody's trying to say we don't want a gift, but I just, oh my god, it's like some crazy large noise. Nobody's saying we don't want a gift, but it's just that thing of when Robert Redford started this festival with Michelle in 1981, he wasn't trying to like muster some gift baskets for famous people. He's trying to like do cinema correctly and help the other children and help everyone out there who needs it. So anyway, all of that said, I'm loving everyone and sending everyone all the best love today, and just depressed about losing my mate Robert Redford. And he was such a fucking legend that everyone's got good things to say about him. That's when you know they were good, because no one can stop talking about how he was, how nice he was, how warm he was, how welcoming he was. It makes you feel like you want to go on the outlaw trail and just like be a fucking cowgirl and have like a horse and that's it. Like, you don't want to do anything except be in nature and ponder the complexity and the beauty of who we are as a man and a woman, and not just what your work is, because your work is good, but it's more important who you are as a person. But also, I just want to send love to people, because I know it's a hard time when somebody passes away, and I know everyone's has their story of him, and everyone felt like he was theirs, like, because he was. So he just was such a shining star. I also think about some of the ladies that he just really fucking helped out, man. Like, he helped out the women. He helped out the women. He helped out the female filmmakers. Like, I'm a testament to that. Because they could have been like, good dick was good and see you later. And now I've been to Sundance every single year since then. More years I've been to Sundance than I haven't been in my adult life. So that says a lot. So, Colorado, here we come, man. Motherfucking Colorado. All right.